Mark Carney likes to enjoy the finer things in life. Things that are not affordable for the peasants, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard.
Happy Friday, everyone. We got some good news today. We needed it after finding out Mark Carney charged us $600 for luxury Normandy butter and $5,000 for creme brulee. In today's report, the Liberals are currently celebrating right now for two reasons. First, the food and essential benefit hit Canadians' bank accounts. 12 million Canadians receive money for food, using our own money to help Canadians afford groceries for a food crisis that the Liberal government created. Second, the Canadian economy added 88,000 jobs, but we're still in a recession. I have this week recap video for you. And Alberta Independence News, new polling just came out. And the city of Toronto is proposing something for the transit system, which makes the put tampons in male washrooms look like a good idea. Shocking, really shocking. Let's get into this report. We're going to start off with the top story because I have to show you this one first. Pure insanity. Toronto's transit system doesn't have washroom facilities, but they're contemplating changing all the signs over to animal symbols to make Indigenous people feel more welcome. Honestly, you can't make this story up. Let's go. As you can see, this video is very current. Just 2 days ago, I came across it and I'm like, man, I gotta share this with you.
Why are we talking about decolonizing wayfinding? Like, what does that even mean?
Indigenous placemaking as wayfinding. What we'll do, we'll have each major exit be assigned a unique animal icon used consistently across signs, wall markings, and architectural elements.
I think this idea is silly and is not logical.
We're going to decolonize how people orient themselves. Once you exit the subway vehicle at Queen Station, so you would see two signs. First of all, going to the left, you would see the turtle, bear, and wolf exit.
Can we not combine a alphanumeric with a pictorial signs?
Well, first of all, thank you for this presentation. It's great.
No transit system in the world adopts animal pictures for wayfinding.
And the exterior of the wolf exit on Yonge Street.
To combine animals into that, we just would have to figure out how that would work.
Indigenous knowledge should be infrastructure, not ornamentation.
Does that mean we're going to have hourly land acknowledgements on the PA system? So we're looking for some clarity here.
And then nearby the art, you can have a little decal that explains exactly what you're looking at.
It's an interesting idea.
Some people are good at numbers, some people like words, some people like pictures.
Nobody does animal pictures for wayfinding. Why? Because there's already a great global standard. It's called alphanumeric.
The exterior of the bison exit. The interior of the beaver exit, next slide, and the exterior of the beaver exit.
We have stations that don't even have working escalators or elevators. We have stations that don't have bathrooms. We don't need to decolonize the TTC.
So I think there's definitely potential here to see how we can incorporate more Indigenous knowledge.
We have much bigger problems here at the TTC than to put pictures of turtles, bisons, elephants, beavers, and whatever other genuses or species that may be a part of Cameron Stewart's school project.
All of these animals are from this land, are Canadian, are local. So to posit that there's somebody somehow that these knowledges and these ideas are other, I think is just really un-Canadian.
So we would be replacing the letter or number with an animal.
You know, if you're going to TIFF, you go to King Station, you need to take the exit bear. Some people will say bear, some people will say one.
So I think
I don't see any downside.
So
no, this was not a school project. This was a project in a fellowship.
Project.
Yeah, we're not disparaging.
I'm not disparaging. I'm just saying
that was disrespectful. So keep it on the presentation.
Your fellowship project.
Not the individual.
I stand corrected. Your fellowship project.
I thought this was such a great presentation, and we loved it in our office.
I had a couple Microsoft Teams meetings with TTC representatives in the diversity department, and now we're walking towards the Eaton Center. So walking along with you on the wall, you also have the turtle, bear, and the wolf.
And my suggestion is that we not listen to whatever the diversity department says, and let's focus on delivering a high-quality, reliable, safe transit system.
With little explainers about, you can have the local artwork either in these decals, or you can have explainers about what the artwork means.
We can think more expansively about how the human learning, the adult brain.
Every TTC station rests on Indigenous land, using the 7 grandfather animals together. With
it's something that we actually are committed to doing in our Truth and Reconciliation Action Plan.
Adding silly confusing. Animal pictures is not going to help people, and it's just going to make our system look less world-class than it already is. And frankly, it's going to add more rider confusion, and it's going to look odd.
As the Canadian economy rapidly moves off a cliff, they're contemplating putting animal symbols and signs in the Toronto transit system. This is how far Canada has fallen. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. I mean, I thought this was fake. Is this for real in Canada? This is where this country is at. Arguing and contemplating what animal should go on what sign. A brand new poll just came out from Ledger showing that 73% want to remain in Canada, only 15% independents, and 6% want to join the United States. If this poll is truly accurate, why would the First Nations come out and do this today? But first, I want you to keep this in mind. 46% of First Nations want independence for Alberta. It's the #1 group out of anybody. They're leading the way on the independence movement, the actual First Nation people. This just came out today. Treaty 8 chiefs are threatening to obstruct critical infrastructure in Alberta if all of us, including their own band members, are allowed a say in our future. I guess the status quo works for them, not so much for their own people. I showed you 46%. They're leading the way in the Alberta independence movement. Well, the chiefs, not so much.
In the letter, you're demanding that the Alberta government stop going down this path. I'm wondering what the or else is. What happens if they don't? I know that you mentioned legal avenues. Is that it? Are there other plans? And when it comes to those legal avenues specifically, what are you talking about there?
Well, you know, there's many tactics that we can use. There's many areas that we can intervene. Industry is in our territories. You know, the resources belong to our nations. How does Alberta expect to move forward as they say, sovereign when all of the resources and lands belong to the treaty people? The treaties extend beyond Alberta's borders, and for that reason, it's a real issue because it inhibits our rights. So when we say that you know, we'll take a look at all avenues, that means stopping industry. That means maybe going out on the highways. That maybe means doing what we need to do to be heard in this on this issue of separation.
I'm curious too if you can provide maybe a bit more of a concrete example of what the or else is. I mean, you talked about how industry operates on your treaty land. You said, you know, we might hit the highways. What does that protest look like if the province of Alberta moves forward with this referendum in October? Are we talking about blockades? Are we talking about marching in the streets? What does that movement look like for you?
What I can say is we're organizing and strategizing right now. It may include civil disobedience, but that is the last resort. We would expect that our partners, the federal and provincial governments, would come to the table and understand our concerns when it comes to separation. When we talk about or else, is that everything's on the table. At what point do we institute those or else's is up to the governments. Do they choose to hear us? Do they want to push us aside? Do they think that our rights don't matter? Do they think the treaty is a myth? Those are the types of things that really, really push us back, right? And there's talk of pipelines here in Alberta as well. The discussion around pipelines when there is no relationship with the province at this point in time, with Alberta being a proponent, looking for federal Indigenous dollars to fund the project. There's tons of issues here in Alberta, and we don't really see a path right now. There is no path to reconciliation here in Alberta when it comes to the UCP.
So I have a question. If the First Nation people want independence, who exactly is going to obstruct and start blocking infrastructure? Is it going to be the chiefs? Are all the chiefs going to go out and start blocking and do civil disobedience? I want to hear from you in the comment section. What do you think about this? Because they don't represent their own people. It's very clear. Albertans should demand an audit on these chiefs for promoting their own people to break the laws. Who remembers this chief right here, which took $55,000 to oppose the oil sands and also oppose Alberta independence? We're going to move on to Mark Carney. If you haven't seen my report yesterday, Mark Carney has a temper tantrum problem. Now it surfaces thanks to the Toronto Star. He's yelling at his MPs and they're all scared of him. We're going to take a look at Andrew Cohen's response to this. And oh yeah, I got tons of commentary.
Caucus management. New reporting in the Toronto Star is highlighting potential issues within Carney's caucus, with some anonymous MPs saying the PM yells and is not open to being challenged, but other MPs are offering a different perspective.
I have never seen the Prime Minister act other than respectfully, and he is someone who is used to being in a boardroom, and I appreciate the back and forth with him.
Have you seen him yell at some people in a meeting? I haven't seen it. No, you've not seen it. I have not. No.
So you characterize it as a disagreement and not than being.
Well, I've certainly, like I say, it was basically what we had was a disagreement. Exactly.
Here to break down Carney's caucus management style and how MPs are responding, Chantal, Andrew, and Althea. Of course, the reporting in the Toronto Star done by our friend here, Althea.
Well, in one sense, this is nothing new. Prime ministers have been treating their caucuses, party leaders in general have been treating their caucuses like the dirt under their feet for the better part of 60 years, with rare exceptions.
Brian Mulroney would be an exception. I would just throw that out there.
With rare exceptions. But even with Mulroney, I mean, the amount of real power that MPs he had, even under Mulroney, was very little. He just treated them better. So that's the news here, is that they're, even by the standards of party leaders and prime ministers past, and even by the standards of subservience that MPs have learned to behave under every leader, even by these standards, this prime minister has pushed it even further, to the point where the habitually subservient MPs are at least talking off the record. You'll notice that the ones who are complaining are off the record. The ones who have no problem are speaking on the record. So there is trouble being stored up here for Mark Carney. We've already discussed many times in this program his authoritarian streak. He also suffers, I think, from smartest guy in the room syndrome. And if you've always been the smartest guy around the table, or at least think you are, in his case, probably with some justice, it can impair your judgment. You're not able to see other points of view. You're not able to hear signs of trouble brewing, not just in your party, but in the country. You're not getting all the facts, and you can be too locked up in your own brilliant schemes and not see the flaws in them. So sometimes the smartest guy in the room doesn't necessarily have the best judgment, and that's the danger that this is pointing to.
I want to challenge Andrew Cohen's smartest guy in the room. Who is to judge who the smartest person is? Do you think it's a guy with a calculator that knows how to count? Or is it somebody that's compassionate to somebody else? Or is it somebody that has emotional intelligence and can evaluate how people are feeling? See, when you say the most intelligent, it's against something. And I do not believe somebody that knows how to do a couple numbers on a calculator is the absolute most intelligent person in the room. There's some people that are great at art, and they could be next level intelligent. Or it could be somebody that is great at presenting. Or it could be somebody that is generous because they'd like to help other people. That person's quite smart, in my opinion. So who's to judge who the smartest person in the room? In fact, somebody that thinks they're smarter than somebody else and won't listen to anybody's opinion except for their own, I find quite dumb, to be honest with you, because like Andrew did point out here, is if you're not listening to potential problems that could arise, that means you have blind spots. Do you find that that is an intelligent thing to do? I don't. I think his ego is so large that it's clouding his mind with pollution. You want to see how big Mark Carney's ego is? Wow, Mark Carney's ego might be bigger than Donald Trump. This is no joke. Mark Carney met with Olympians the other day. Just listen to the end of this clip and get ready for your eyes to roll.
Oh, we're coming into the office.
No, they're after QP. I think the Prime Minister will be in the chamber. No?
He has to fly out.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to go.
Okay.
I have a visit. I'm really important. I'm really important.
When your ego gets so large, everybody else is nothing. This is a classic narcissist right here. The leak that Mark Carney has a temper and he goes through temper tantrums came from Althea, so she wrote it in the Toronto Star. Let's hear from her how inside this Liberal government there is a fracture.
Of course, the reporting in the Toronto Star done by our friend here, Althea. Raj, so I want you to tell us sort of what you took away from your reporting, Althea, as sort of the central issue in caucus for the Prime Minister and why that matters.
I think it's clear that there are divisions in caucus about the way the Prime Minister speaks to MPs or has spoken to MPs. The message from the Prime Minister over the last, I'd say, 2 weeks is that the government has a plan. It's focused on the CUSMA talks, on national unity. If you have a criticism, he actually does not want to hear it. Please keep your comments to yourself. He does not want people to come to the microphone and complain. He wants people to come with solutions. Some people took that very negatively, as in he does not want to hear us speak. The incident really started about a little bit more than a month ago, where there was a very tense moment between Jaime Batiste, Cape Breton MP, who was talking about S2, which is changes to the Indian Act, and the Prime Minister did not appreciate that Mr. Batiste was coming to say that this was not being received as the government intended, as in, like, it's your problem, fix it. And several MPs, not the usual suspects, told me how disturbed they were by that exchange. And I think that that has kind of like opened the floodgates in some ways, as MPs who want to tell, I think it's a warning call to the Prime Minister to say, you know, we have value too, and we can be your line of first defense, and the criticisms or the concerns that we bring forward should be listened to. Right now, things are going great for the Liberals, but you kind of want to make sure that you're not, I think if you're the leader, driving some wedges unnecessarily, and telling people this week not to write to the Prime Minister in case their letters might leak, I think rubs some other people the wrong way.
Currently, the Liberals have a very slim margin for their majority. We have some by-elections that the Conservative could win the one in North Vancouver, and the one in Ontario could be won by Avi Lewis if he actually decides to run. So if there's any other MPs like Stephen Guilbeault, he's resigned. There might be other MPs that decide, you know what? I want to be an independent, or I just want to resign because I don't like getting yelled at. The Prime Minister has a temper tantrum and he doesn't want to listen to my input. Imagine that over the summer, people take the summer holiday to think about their future within this Liberal government. We come back in the fall after the by-elections and a few people decide, I don't like this and no more. There might be an opportunity for a non-confidence vote in the fall. And if they don't secure a renegotiation of the USMCA, the polling numbers might be going in the other direction for the Liberals. 12 million Canadians woke up today with money in their bank account. Hopefully you were one of the lucky ones. I was not. And I'm sure if you're a working Canadian, you didn't get anything either. But this is nothing new. It was formerly called, and this is on the Canada Revenue Agency account, it was formerly called the GST and HST credit. They just renamed it to Canada's Grocery and Essential Benefit. So basically nothing new, just a new name. I'm looking for your input after this segment. By the way, they say new polling data just came out. Who did they poll? They didn't poll me. Let's take a look at what they did, and we're gonna discuss it. I can't wait to hear from you in the comments section after you've seen this.
I'm going to switch with the time we have left to another real light, easy topic, and that's Alberta separatism. Because Albertans, they're getting a taste this week of what separation from Canada could cost in money and maybe in people. A new poll from Leger, conducted for Post Media, found that fewer than half of Albertans would stay and live in Alberta if it chose to be independent. And And also this week, Alberta Premier Daniel Smith estimated the cost of separation, the initial cost, would be $400 billion. That's just startup costs, not the annual costs. Rebecca Schultz, those are estimated $20 to $40 billion a year. When you look at the exodus this might cause and the bill it might deliver, what do you think this does to the whole push in the run-up to the October 19th referendum in your province?
All right, we're going to stop it there. We're not going to see anything else on this. Now, who did they poll? Just Albertans? There's a lot of people in Alberta that's excited to hear that half of Albertans are going to leave because they're thinking that all the wokies go brokies are going to be moving out of Alberta. But get this, if Alberta actually does their independence, how many Canadians are going to flood into Alberta and leave the sinking ship of Canada? Because if Alberta decided to vote for independence and it was successful, I know my family would be moving to Alberta immediately. There's no question. So if my family's going to move, how many families out there will decide to move to Alberta where they're trying to pledge that there will be no income taxes, where you're going to have freedom of speech, freedom to protect your property? You're going to have the freest country on planet Earth. Who's going to join Alberta? So this poll they just came out with did not poll the entire country to find out how many people would be moving to Alberta if they were successful on independence. I want to cover the good news because I like good news. Canada added 88,000 jobs in the month of May, but this came after 112,000 jobs from the month of January to April were lost. So this is more of a snapback month than proof that our economy is suddenly healthy. The suspicious part is the sector mix. Construction is up. Culture and recreation is up. Transportation warehouse is up. Accommodations and food is up. Full-time jobs is 154,000 and part-time jobs is 66,000 gone. But here is my analysis. The World Cup prep. Toronto and Vancouver are hosting the FIFA matches, and they were hiring and FIFA-related hiring for security, hospitality, transport and crowd management, airport support, logistics, event operations. That lines up almost perfectly with the sectors that jumped. Also, the seasonal summer hiring spree has also started for tourism and food services, recreation, construction, events, and logistics. And third, recession doesn't hit every single sector at the same time. GDP could shrink, but employers could still hire if businesses are filling backlogs, replacing workers, preparing for events, or responding to short-term demand. Labor data is noisy, but the biggest red flag in this report is wholesale and retail is down 35,000 jobs, which is the consumer economy is flashing a warning, red light warning sign. So to sum it all up, Canada added 88,000 jobs for the month of May, which is a positive thing, good news, but it's a great headline. Now with the fine print, the biggest job gains is construction, recreation, warehouse, hotels, restaurants, right before FIFA World Cup and summer tourism season. Meanwhile, retail jobs lost 35,000. This looks less like an economic boom and more like a temporary event hiring inside a shrinking economy. So, it's good news, but we'll see in the coming months if this was just a small blip upwards. That's it for today's report. Happy Friday, everybody. I can't wait to read my comment section. There was a lot of news today. For example, what do you think about the Toronto transit system? Replace everything that we know with animals. I'm sure that's a logical thing to do. With the Alberta independence movement heating up, what do you think about the new polling data that just came out? And Mark Carney's temper tantrums. Are we going to see more MPs resign because of this? I look forward to reporting on it if it does. I really enjoy making these reports, so thank you everybody that supports me on my channel. I'll see you on the next report.